In his important book, The Third Wave, Samuel Huntington pointed out that division among the ruling elite is a key sign of weakness in authoritarian regimes. When prominent members of the establishment break with the system, it often triggers a larger set of changes. Conversely, when you do not see such defections, it means the autocrat will probably be able to survive. Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad offers one example of this principle at work. So how would we apply that to Russia today? Yevgeny Prigozhin's failed attack has revealed some dissent within Russia's ruling elite, but Vladimir Putin was apparently able to snuff it out within a day or two. It appears that Prigozhin got no public support from any key figure in the Kremlin, which could be why he ended his quixotic march on Moscow. Putin has spent much of his tenure crushing dissent from liberals. Now he is subduing his challengers on the nationalist side. Power struggles within the Russian state take place in a black box. As the lines often attributed to Winston Churchill go, Kremlin political intrigues are comparable to a bulldog fight under a rug. An outsider only hears the growling, and when he sees the bones fly out from beneath, it's obvious who won. For now, it is Prigozhin's bones that we see figuratively, and perhaps soon we shall see them literally. What is not a matter of speculation is the state of Russian society. I've been stunned by one statistic ever since I read it. A 15-year-old Russian male today has the same life expectancy as a 15-year-old male in Haiti. Remember, Russia is one of the world's richest countries in terms of natural resources, and it is an urbanized, industrialized society with levels of education and literacy comparable to and perhaps even exceeding European countries. This analysis comes from an August 2022 working paper by the scholar Nicholas Eberstadt, who has long studied demography. He points out that for 3 decades now, Russia has been depopulating. With a brief respite from 2013 to 15, deaths have outpaced births. But he notes that this trend is one that we see in many industrialized countries. What stands out in Russia is its mortality rate. Using the World Health Organization's data in 2019, before any effects from COVID or the war, the World Health Organization estimated a 15-year-old boy in Russia could expect to live another 53.7 years, which is about the same as a Haitian and below the life expectancy for males in Yemen, Mali, South Sudan. European males of around the same age could expect to live about 7 years longer than Russians. Education usually correlates with good health, but not in Russia. Eberstadt points out that shockingly, Russia is a country with first world educational levels and fourth world mortality rates for its working age population. He then digs deeper into the educational attainments and finds that the mystery deepens. With huge numbers of well-trained people, especially in the sciences, Russia performs miserably in the knowledge economy, much worse than did the Soviet Union. In 2019, Russia ranked behind Austria in international patent applications, despite having 16 times the population. Today, it ranks alongside Alabama in U.S. patents, the gold standard for companies everywhere, despite having almost 30 times the population of Alabama. All these numbers will likely get much worse, given the hundreds of thousands of likely well-trained, urban, educated Russians who fled the country after its aggression against Ukraine. What explains this stunning mismatch in Russia? A new book by the scholar Alexander Etkind, Russia Against Modernity, makes the case that Putin has created a parasitic state that gets revenues by extracting natural resources rather than any creative production, and which fulfills none of the functions of a modern state in terms of providing welfare for its people. Corruption is intrinsic to this kleptocratic regime, Etkind says, noting that post-Soviet Russia has seen the fastest rise in inequality anywhere in the world. After the protests against him in 2011 and 2012, which an enraged Putin blamed on then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the Russian state became even more anti-modern. You see, for Putin's regime, the West now represents forces of social, economic, and political modernization that could infect Russia. In his speech as he launched the war in Ukraine, Putin accused the United States of seeking to destroy Russia's traditional values and impose new ones on it, which, quote, directly lead to degradation and degeneration because they are contrary to human nature. For Putin, modernizing Russia would create a more active civil society with greater demands for better health care, more opportunities for ordinary citizens, and a less kleptocratic state. And so he advocates a traditional Russia, which celebrates religion, traditional morality, xenophobia, and strict gender conformity, of course. What does this all add up to? I am not sure, but it is fair to say that Russia's biggest problem is not that it is losing the Ukraine war, but rather that it is losing the 21st century.